20th anniversary festivities. Are you having fun yet? Lots of goodies planned for you later on in the day. We have a program we want to move through pretty quickly for you this morning, but we do have a lot of dignitaries that we're going to be recognizing, so we appreciate your patience. All of you that have a ticket for lunch, we guarantee you will get a barbecue lunch. So we hope that you can stay with us for our opening remarks. At this time, I'm going to ask VFW Post 6298 to come forward as they present today's colors. If we could all stand, please.
Right, shoulder, out. Forward, out, 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 forward, out, 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 right, out, 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 right. No. No. Corner. Over. Up.
Please join me in reciting.
Face. Reset. Out.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Up. Order. Close your colors. Right, hip, right shoulder, up, forward, up, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left,
We have a nice round of applause for VFW Post 6298. Always joining us for our special occasions. Nice to have you here again today. And now we turn our attention, you may be seated. And now we turn our attention to our guests and friends that have asked to share in today's celebration. Now, aware of our time constraints, we want to hold our applause until we've called all our dignitaries and our guests. To begin with, we welcome State Senator Ellen Corbett, representatives from State Senator Mark Gasagne's office, and we also have representatives from Joan Buchanan. I think they may make it a little later on today. They will be sharing with us a special resolution in just a few minutes, so we'll ask them up to the podium once we get through our list here. From the City of Pleasanton, we welcome Mayor Jerry Thorne, Vice Mayor Cheryl Cook-Palio, and Council Member Jerry Penton. I understand that Council Member Carla Brown will be joining us a little later this afternoon. Also on hand from the City of Pleasanton, we welcome Community Services Director Susan Andrade-Watts and Community Services Manager Kathleen Yurchak. We are also pleased to welcome past Mayor and City Council Member Ken Mercer. It's okay, you can applaud. It's all right. We acknowledge members from the Senior Center Advisory Council, Don Gordner, Bruce Fiedler, Jim Fields, and Community Services Manager, former Community Services Manager, Eileen Morley-Hofstadt. They do deserve a round of applause. These are the individuals who helped shape the center as they collaborated with the architects in selecting building design and functionality, room amenities, I think even down to the basic room furnishing. So that was in the mid-'80s, and you'll see their names out on the plaque at the front of the building, so we're really glad that they could join us today. All right, we also have current or former members from the Parks and Community staff, including Dolores Bankston, Dan Diaz. We hope that Nan Cohen will join us in a little bit, and Evelyn King. From the Arts Commission, Ms. Stephanie Wedge is here today. And I believe we also have a number of representatives, commissioners from the Human Services Commission as well. Don Wilson. We welcome board members from the VIP Senior Club. This was a group that was formed back in 1969, and they were kind of the catalyst in getting this concept of the Senior Center moving forward in the mid to late 70s. So I want to thank again representatives from the VIP Senior Club. With us today, we also have members from the nonprofit fundraising group, the Friends of Pleasanton Senior Center, and finally, members of the Senior Center Advisory Committee. So let's have a nice round of applause for all of our guests. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium State Senator Ellen Corbett, who has a special resolution that she would like to present to Mr. Jim Wark, a long-standing member of the Center's Advisory Commission. State Senator?
Good morning, good afternoon almost. How are you all doing today? Thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful day in Pleasanton. We all know why Pleasanton is called Pleasanton. I was just joking with the mayor. The weather is always cooperating here in Pleasanton when I'm here. I don't think I've ever been here when it's rained. So congratulations. It's truly a beautiful place. And I'm very pleased to be here to present this resolution today, but it's quite a historic milestone. 20 years here at the Senior Center. I was trying to remember what was I doing 20 years ago, and I remember I was on the City Council. Ken Mercer was the mayor of Pleasanton. I was on the City Council in San Leandro, and we were very jealous in local government that another city was building a beautiful senior center. So kudos to you. You were way ahead of many other people's times, putting together this beautiful senior center. And as you all know, I don't have to tell you this. This is a great place. You can come here for health care, blood pressure screenings, and classes, and just an opportunity to get together with your friends. And so it's really a great place to be, right here in the Senior Center in this beautiful park setting. And we've even had an opportunity to be here in my office to have senior resource fairs and safety fairs. So thank you for always welcoming us. So it is with great pleasure that I present a resolution to you in honor of the 20 years. Let me just pick it up here. I would like to ask April to join me here. April Whitus is here from Senator Mark DeSagnier's office. And this resolution has been prepared by Senator Mark DeSagne and Assemblymember Joan Buchanan and Senator Ellen Corbett to commemorate the 20 years. And I would also like to present it to Jim Wark, who has been on the advisory board for 20 years, right? So you have been here since the very beginning, so please come up here. I'd like to read just a little bit of the resolution. Don't worry, I won't read the whole thing because I know we don't want lunch to get cold. So let me just read a bit of it. So, I thought it was written on my card, but it's not, so I'll read it right off the resolution. It's one thing I didn't memorize today. Oh no, here it is. Okay. April's been a great staffer. She found it for me. So, resolved by Senators Ellen Corbett, Senator Mark DeSagne, and Assemblymember Joan Buchanan, that the Pleasanton Senior Center be commended on the celebration of its 20th anniversary and on the vital role it has played in improving the quality of life in the local community, and we extend best wishes for continued success in the future. Congratulations on a wonderful milestone, and many, many more to you. Thank you.
Thank you again, State Senator Alan Corbett. We appreciate that. Quite an honor. At this point, I'd like to ask Mayor Jerry Thorne to come forward who'd like to share a few welcoming remarks.
Well, thank you, Raymond. Good afternoon. Well, it's not quite afternoon yet, so good morning. On a very special day in a very special place here in Pleasanton. Pleasanton Senior Center actually opened 20 years ago in March of 1993. That important grand opening represented about 13 years of planning and project development for what has become one of the most beautifully crafted and much used facilities in Pleasanton. And with us adjoining 6-acre park, it's really a great facility. Today, more than 1,000 people a week pass through the center doors to take advantage of a broad range of services, socialize with friends, enjoy lunch, exercise, take a class, and in 20 years, and I can attest to this, 20 years it has served more than 120,000 cups of coffee. So take that, Starbucks. I know that because I think I served about half of them when I was serving lunch here at the Snappy Cafe. As a matter of fact, I used to go home at night and I think go through my mind, regular decaf. But since its opening, volunteers have donated about 240,000 hours to this center. According to figures from the AARP, that time is worth about $23 an hour. So volunteers have donated about $5.5 million to this facility over 20 years. Spectrum Community Services also served 118,000 lunches here through its lunch program and through the Meals on Wheels. Since 2003, the center has also housed the Senior Support Group program of the Tri-Valley, which is an independent nonprofit agency. It provides important services and programs such as foot care, health screenings, blood pressure checks, and education about fall prevention and nutrition, just to name a few. The Senior Center is also home of the Pleasanton Paratransit Service. After 20 years, it still has 17 of its original clients. One of them is over 105 years old. We are so fortunate that the city leaders who went before us had the foresight to invest in our treasured senior population, which, by the way, is getting bigger. According to the U.S. Census, right now there are about 40 million people 65 years or older in the United States. And by 2050, that number is projected to grow to about 89 million. California has the highest total of seniors of any state in the Union, with more than 4 million seniors. So it's more important than ever for our communities to have a facility like the Pleasanton Senior Center where people can access the important resources that they need. The center also serves as a central meeting place for social interactions, activities, and events, which are so critical to the quality of our lives. And I can say our lives because I are a senior citizen. The success of our senior center is largely due to its wonderful staff, operated through the Community Services Department, with special thanks to Supervisor Pam Deaton and Coordinator Raymond Figueroa. Please give those three folks. Thank you for your daily dedication to this facility and its many patrons over the years. Between classes and workshops and weddings, and even as the site for prom pictures for our high school, this facility is known as the Senior Center, and we know that the Senior Center has become one of the most valued components of our community over the last 20 years. and we feel that the best is yet to come. So thank you very much for being here today, and thanks to everyone who participates at the Senior Center.
Thank you again, Mayor Thorne. When the center opened up back in March of 1993, the city was under the direction of then Mayor Ken Mercer, who happens to be here today. So, I'm going to come up to the podium and share his thoughts and reflections.
I know you're surprised I'm still alive. I did want to introduce Carla Brown, new city council member. Let me just give you some numbers real quick because the staff put them together for me. Senior Center facility, all landscaping, everything costs $4,640,000 way back then. The park cost $710,000. And for those of you that know, that have been around a while, this used to be the city corporation yard. It was also the city sewer plant. Lake Monaco was here. Lake Monaco used to run the sewer plant, and the old sewer plant was just a great big pond and it used to percolate down into the ground, and so it was nicknamed Lake Monaco. I didn't joke about the city employees whether they had a barbecue around Lake Monaco. Nobody would come. So that site cleaned up all the corporation yard and everything. That cost another $1.5 million. Total cost was $6,850,000. It would probably cost $20 million to replace this facility today. It was probably one of the best investments the city council made. I just wanted to give you just a little bit of history for those of you that didn't live here, but for those of you that have, I'm telling you all this stuff. In 1978, that was the first year I was the mayor. We used to appoint the mayor for a year before we started with an elected mayor, and I got appointed mayor. That was when Prop 13 passed, which some of you might remember, and our budget was cut in half. The following year, Prop 4 passed, which hit us again. Most everybody thinks Pleasanton is a wonderful place to live and we're prosperous and we have all this money. We had to lay off 36 employees. We shut off half the lights in town because we couldn't afford to pay the lights. And the city council made a conscious decision at that time we were going to run the city more like a business and not like government was. The people in the state of California didn't want government the way it was. They passed Prop 13. And we actively went out and tried to bring people here. We brought the Stone Ridge Mall. Fortunately, Joe Callahan came and did the Hacienda Business Park. But the city was very blessed. We had people who came in and were willing to spend the money. I give the credit to our city staff. The city council came up with the goofiest ideas, and Eileen could tell you that. The city council probably came up with some of the goofiest ideas, and Jim Walker and his city staff somehow, some way, implemented those things that we now enjoy. The site behind us, the senior housing, was owned by the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church owned the apartments right down the street. I went to Father Dan, who used to be priest up at St. Augustine's. I said, what's the Catholic Church going to do with that property? Well, one thing led to another. The Catholic Church gave us the property, the city of Pleasanton. We then found out that Chevron had $9 million in tax rebate money they had received for environmental things that they had done, and they had $9 million looking for someplace to spend it. We ran up there and sat down with them, and they agreed to give us the $9 million for the housing. And the federal government at that time gave us $5 million. So we built 220 units of senior housing for nothing. At the end of 20 years, we had to sign an agreement for 20 years that we would then take it over. At the end of 20 years, we took it over. So we got all back for nothing. We then thought, well, we need a place for seniors to come. And that was what really started this whole momentum for the senior center. Interesting, from the day we broke ground to the day we had the groundbreaking was 18 months. Today, you can't get anything done in 18 months. You know, I mean, you can't add on a fence at your house. Back back then, we were able to do things and we had the money to get it done. And we were very fortunate we had sources in this community that were willing to put money out and were willing to help us with this. During the time that Prop 4 was in effect, we didn't spend any money on parks, we didn't spend any money on maintenance of any kind. The council passed a resolution that we would support the police and the fire because that was the most important thing, city services. But we stopped everything else until we got our feet back on the ground. That's why I tell you, it was city staff who really brought this community back to where it is today. The city councils take credit, obviously we do. And we love to see our names on flags, et cetera, et cetera. But we keep giving, the city staff all these things to fix, and they do. They fix them. City staffs of all these years, from way back 20 years ago when I was on the council, you need to give them a round of applause. They're the ones that take care. Very fortunate to have been the mayor when this was built. I think city staff has done a wonderful job keeping this facility up for 20 years. We walk around here and it's a beautiful spot, well landscaped, well taken care of. And I'd like to thank all of you for everything that you have done here volunteering to keep this place going. Thank you very much.
So that was a little history lesson. Thank you. Again, we appreciate that. All right, one more guest and then we'll lose for lunch, huh? All right, we're going to ask that Ms. Dolores Bankston step forward. I know she was snapping some pictures around us. There she is. Now, she was the then Parks and Community Services Director, and she helped form the Senior Center Task Force, began discussions with the various commissions, and finally moved the process forward to the City Council. So let's give a warm Pleasanton welcome to Ms. Dolores Bankston.
It's interesting, we've heard from two mayors, and they have been very gracious. They've given a lot of credit to staff and others for this project. I'm going to kind of give you a little information from a different perspective. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the staff and the volunteers who for 20 years have made the Senior Center such an important part of so many seniors' lives. And congratulations to all you who use the Senior Center and you contribute to the strength of the community by sharing your experiences here with others. If we could have a meeting of that task force who planned this center, I know they would be very satisfied with their work. And I know it takes a little bit of time, and I know that many of the names I'm going to read are no longer with us. But I think I want to read your names in here. First of all, on that plaque is Mayor Ken Mercer, Ben Tarver, Vice Mayor, Council members Bob Butler, Karen Moore, Dorothy Scribner, Deborah McKeon, myself, Joe Elliott from Public Works, Group 4 Architecture, W.A. Thomas Construction. But here's the names I want to really shout out in this room. Kathy Anderson, this is the task force. Kathy Anderson, Alvina and Maurice Don't. How many people know them and remember them? Bruce Fiedler. Bruce may be here today, I don't know. Of course, Jim Fields, who's sitting right here, representative of the Park and Rec on that task force. Dawn Bordner. Dawn, raise your hand. Where are you? Right here. She was on the task force, representing, I believe, the Human Services Commission with Dawn. Al Cross. Marion Lowe, who was our standard for little people to try on chairs. Bruce Fiedler was our big tall person to try on chairs. Frank and Rose Sabrin were the people that pushed hard to get a wooden floor so you could dance and exercise on what you call a soft floor. Walter Scott, Babe Tebow, the cheerleader of the entire group. Barbara Van Slyke, thanks to her we have the peddler shop. And she supported having beautiful colors in this facility. And finally, the staff, Eileen Morley, who's right here. Raise your hand, Eileen. And of course, Man Cohen. Man Cohen, we hope, will join us a little later. Man, of course, was the heart and soul of the senior program at that time. Now, I'd like to use a few minutes to go back even before we started the planning of the senior center and give some credit to those who alerted the city to the need for such a facility and became advocates for senior programming and services, resulting in the construction of this wonderful senior center. For many years, senior programs and classes were just a part of the department's program, and they were held in various sites all over Pleasanton. In the 70s, some senior activists became aware of programs and services such as nutrition and transportation that would be of great value to the community, but they needed a dedicated facility. Now, Dan Diaz, Dan, you're here. Where are you? Raise your hand. Yeah, there's Dan down there. Dan Diaz, yay. He was the staff working with the senior programs at that time, and he remembers when the senior activists organized and went to the streets with signs to gain better access to the Veterans Memorial Building, so it would serve as a central location for senior services. They were clever enough to notify the newspapers that they would essentially be picketing, taking to the streets, rabble-rousers, because they knew they'd get their picture in the paper. Well, of course, they responded to that pressure. And of course, you know, they had access to the Veterans Building, and for many years we operated a very successful program. Now, of course, with the expanding program, again, senior activists became focused on having a fully dedicated and well-designed senior center. They lobbied the council, they lobbied the Park and Recreation Commission, and the Human Services, and they in turn were successful. The council heard everyone, and they unanimously, of course they've been working on this for years in a different direction, but they unanimously dedicated this site and the money to build the senior center. Then they were wonderful that they placed a park around it. You don't know how much that means to this site. It was at the time a very unique thought, is to have a park around the senior center. So as I say, the council appointed the task force that guided this project. And that task force included many of those senior activists, as well as other appointees. I worked directly with that task force, and I must say, I have never worked with such a loyal, dedicated, open-minded, and hard-working group as that task force. They worked for 10 years on this project. So it was 10 years of their lives in the planning for the senior center. And I must say, hats off to them. They did a fabulous job. Now, the purpose of me telling you this story of how this project began is to remind you that it is the voices of active citizens like all of you that helps the decision makers, and they're all sitting over there, determine needs and influences them as to how they apply limited city resources. The council does respond when they hear your voices. And I encourage you to continue to look to the future, look at the growing population of seniors, as the mayor so close to you in his earlier speech. The diversity of their income and the diversity of their culture and service needs. Remember that it has been proven again and again and again that providing services and programs supporting independent living is the most satisfying to the senior and the most cost-effective. Now, the theme today is Celebrate the Past, Embracing the Future. As we celebrate the past, I challenge you to embrace the future by playing an active role in guiding those decision makers as they confront the task of meeting the future needs of Pleasanton seniors. I know you can do it, and we're going to help them out. So thank you so very much.
I think we're going to bring her out of retirement. All right. I think Dolores took my notes. I'm going to borrow my notes because I want to thank. We're basically done with the presentation. I want to thank a few of our community partners. Again, Dolores, thank you for walking us through that very thorough history. Formation of the center, boy, in the last 20 minutes, you like I said, took a great walk through history, so we appreciate all our special guests stepping forward and sharing their thoughts today. All right, almost there, almost there. I want to give special thanks to our community partners that helped make this event possible. So right now on site, we have about 100 volunteers helping out. Can you believe that? We're going to start off with the Livermore Pleasanton Firefighters Foundation, who are providing our lunch for us today. And they're up there staffing the barbecue pit, purchase all the supplies. Also to Spectrum Community Services, where they're staffing and providing us with the side dishes. We appreciate that. How many of you have t-shirts? I hope all of you have. Thanks to Caremore, the Senior Health Maintenance Organization, for providing those for you today. We want to thank the Assistance League of Amador Valley for, again, providing us volunteer staff, and they are also sponsoring tomorrow's ballroom dance. 20th Anniversary Planning Committee. How many people are here? 20th Anniversary Planning Committee. Raise your hands. They're probably all at the front desk volunteering. Answering the phone. So they met for the last year to get this together. They developed the logo. They selected the t-shirt design. They worked with the merchants and business community to create the coupon book, and worked with another volunteer, Ann Pfaff Dose, who volunteered her time to create our logo. So Ann, where are you? Ann, stand up, please. So everything from the logo to the certificates, that's all of her creation. She's been a long-time volunteer here at the Center for the last 10 years, so we really thank her for her input today. Chapel of the Chimes provided the continental breakfast this morning. Thanks to them. And Generations Healthcare, or Pleasanton Healthcare and Rehab, is providing the dessert for you this afternoon. We want to thank Bywright and Crystal Geyser for the water, Jewelers Gallery for creating the award for our volunteers. That ceremony will take place a little later on this afternoon. BYOG, who worked with us to create the t-shirts and provide the gift bags for us. And finally, the City of Pleasanton, the community services staff, and park staff who have really worked hard to make this place shine in the last month. So why don't we give a nice round of applause to all of our partners. We'll finish up with a nice little thank you to our Boy Scouts. Why don't you stand up, young men? Volunteers from the National Charity League. We have our volunteers from the National Charity League. Please stand up. And then our senior players for presenting our skit 2 times today. All right, and now we turn our attention to lunch. All right, so here's how it's going to work. You got to have a ticket, and I think most of you have tickets. What you're going to do is egress or exit through the back doors, through the rear lobby, and then follow the blue arrows all the way around. Your lunch will be waiting for you. You can eat on the back patio. You can come back into the main hall and join us again for the meal. So thank you all for being with us. You should stand proud today, stand tall. Thank you for sharing this great event. Have a good day.